Is my voice sound clear?
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Jai.
Yes, we can start by reading the seven realities. And then we'll dive into the
Okay. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. The seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. One, the only real existence is that of the one and only God who is the self in every finite self. Two, the only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become
Hmm.
one with its truth, God. Three, the only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. Four, the only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. Five, the only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. 6. The only real control is the discipline of the senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. 7. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Over to you, Karthik. Thank you.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. So let's get back into manifesting. So we finished the first page of Universal Push. That's page 10 of the chapter called Universal Push. But for continuity, I will just quickly read this page. And unless somebody really wants to discuss something again, I'll just stop. This is more to refresh and have a continuity. So we'll pick up from the first line of Universal Push. Yeah. Avtar Meher Baba. Age after age, cycle after cycle, God assumes a human form in order to give a push to every level of consciousness, directly from the stone state of consciousness to the human state of consciousness. It is his work to give a universal push, and to give this universal push, he has to become everyone and everything, so that everyone and everything receives this push. The avatar has to be in every level of consciousness for this universal work. His work is universal because he is in every level of consciousness. Repeat these two of consciousness for his universal work.
What's stopping
Hello?
you?
Yeah, yeah. I just realized there's a network issue. Am I back? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Okay.
And now you're audible, but in between, I think, was it my connection?
No, 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 no. It was my connection. It was my connection. I think
Oh,
my
yeah.
Wi-Fi just. So let me read again from the beginning. Age after age, cycle after cycle, God assumes a human form in order to give a push to every level of consciousness, directly from the stone state of consciousness to the human state of consciousness. It is His work to give a universal push, and to give this universal push, He has to become everyone and everything. So that everyone and everything receives this push, the avatar has to be in every level of consciousness for his universal work. His work is universal because he is in every level of consciousness. To speak metaphorically, when anyone becomes a king of a country, he rules over the whole country during his lifetime, and he must shoulder the responsibility of everyone and everything in the country. But if anyone merely acts like a king, depicts the character of a king before an audience, then his responsibility is to make certain the audience is well impressed, convinced by his performance about the character of the king. In this manner, the one who becomes the king of the country assumes the responsibility of the whole country and works for everyone and everything in the whole of the country. However, the one who simply acts like a king assumes responsibility only for the small audience gathered in the theater and works at acting as a king of this small audience. Okay? So there's a small subset that the perfect master looks at, whereas the avatar is looking at everyone and everything. Continuing, in the divine drama of the universe, God, the infinite consciousness, in human form as the avatar, becomes everyone and everything. The infinite consciousness in personal form becomes king of every level of consciousness. He works as the king for every level of consciousness in every level of consciousness, thereby assumes the responsibility of every level of consciousness. The perfect master is the perfect actor. A perfect master only works for a particular audience. This means that the perfect master's work is a part of the universal work in the human sphere of consciousness. Thus, the perfect master acts like a king but does not become a king because it is not essential for his work. And the reason I have marked this out with these blue lines is this needs some thinking. So, is there a difference in, I mean, first we'll have to understand by the end of this chapter and come back to the difference between perfect master and avatar. Continuing. The difference between the work of the avatar and the work of a perfect master is that the avatar becomes the king in his divine drama of creation and works universally for the whole creation and thereby shoulders all the responsibility involved in the whole of creation. A perfect master only acts like a king for a select audience because his work is limited to a certain section of the universal work for humanity alone and not to the evolving universes of creation. And that work too is only during his physical lifetime. So, perfect master is for a select audience. He is limited to a certain section of the universal work, and he is doing all of that only during his physical lifetime. Continuing, the
Yeah,
avatar's
example,
response. Mhm.
for example, Sai Baba stationed himself at Shirdi, and he was catering for all the people around there. And I do not know if physical presence is, can he work on the people who are away from Shirdi or not? I don't know. but Sai Baba worked around Bombay and around Shirdi. Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's
Baba.
hold our horses on that. So what does this physical scope that is being referred to in the last two paragraphs? Let's hold our horses till we get to the end of the chapter because that's very intriguing. Because if we remember discourses and the coverage given to Perfect Master there, Perfect Master, between the five of the Perfect Masters and especially the Qutub Irshad, they basically have untrammeled spiritual influence and control on all of creation at their during their physical presence. So we'll come back to this, but just hold your horses. Okay?
Jai Baba Karthik, if I may just take a few seconds. Yesterday we by mistake read that the uh, uh, avatar is the creator of creation, and today also we started with his universal work and creation. So I think Baba is trying to lead us to some message here. Underlying message is that that the avatar is the universal force or the uncaused cause is the thought which comes to my mind. We can discuss it later, but this is what I'm sharing with the group.
Yeah, hold on to the thought, and let's come back if that opens a specific insight or answers some questions that the group is having. Very good thought. Yeah, hold on to it. Continuing, the avatar's responsibility toward everyone and everything in the universe is for all time. And therefore, after he drops his physical body, his responsibility and his work do not cease but continue for all time. It is because of this continued responsibility that he has to appear age after age in a human form, right? So, this is the other difference. Let's go on now. The avatar becomes everyone and everything, and he becomes the king. He alone becomes the king of every level of consciousness, and that is the meaning of the different kingdoms of evolution. The avatar can therefore give, and he does give, a universal push to every level of consciousness in the processes of evolution and involution, and everyone and everything attains the benefit of further progress in consciousness from this push. So he is operating at every level of consciousness and he's giving a push to everything in creation to the next level or to the next level of consciousness, to more progress, to a better state than where you are. Anyway, during the physical lifetime of the avatar, his infinite consciousness in personal form works in such multiple ways that it prepares the ground for every level of consciousness to achieve more and more progress over a definite period of time. He works also to link individual consciousness, individual human consciousness, with the impersonal, infinite consciousness. When the work for this preparation is finished and the avatar completes the work of his advent, he drops the body. But his impersonal, infinite consciousness continues to be responsible for all creation. His impersonal, infinite consciousness remains active at all times to give a response to every call in creation. And this help is provided during the manifestation of the work that the avatar does during his physical lifetime. So, what are the things that are being said here? Right? Let's just mark out any comments. Please keep going as I just uh,
So,
finish.
so, so this reiterates the Nirgun, Nirakar, and Sagun Sahakar aspects of um, the avatar. So it's that he is available at all times and in dual forms, either in uh, when you as a Sagun Sakar, where he is in a human form, and when he is invisible as Nirgun Nirakar. I mean, just I wish Ashish was here, then he could have got the message here.
Correct. So, what does this last line mean? His impersonal infinite consciousness remains active at all times to give a response help to every call in creation. And then, and this help is provided during the manifestation of the work that the avatar does during his physical lifetime. So, he starts with uh, after his physical lifetime. And why I say that is the works also to link individual human consciousness with the impersonal infinite consciousness, right? And okay, I'm not very sure, but let's hold on to that. Let's continue, and then we'll come back to
Let's
this
go
time.
back and let's clarify. See,
Yeah, sure.
Baba is God, right? Baba is God, avatar. That means the infinite God took up the human form, and he came now during our time, and previously Muhammad and Christ and Rama, whatever it is. But the God is always active. He doesn't have a name. When you call Zoroaster now, he still responds. The God responds at all the times. That's what he meant here. The impersonal infinite consciousness, that is God in the eternal existence state, unmanifest form, remains active at all times. So Baba is active. He observes what's going on with you and me. But he doesn't, he's not conscious, he's not concerned about it because everything is going according to the law. Okay? But avatar comes when there is some corrections to be made. The system has to be straightened. And his work is done some part with the human form. And during his manifestation period, once his work is done, he leaves the body, and the rest of the work is done without manifest form. But he is active all the time, and he gets the work done through circle members, to perfect masters, his lovers, whatnot. All the people who are connected with him, he gets the work done through them. Uh, does it make sense, Karthik?
No, no, no. Agreed, agreed.
Jai
I think
Baba,
all
Jai Baba. Okay, I think that let's start from a top-down approach. This is all happening in the divine dream of God, right? Everything is part of the illusion. So the point here is that when you talk about God, God is love, love is God. God is divine love, parabhakti. Now, the this God, as we know, state one, Paratpar Parabrahma got up and had his whim, and this whole creation started, right? And it's going through many life cycles and many ages, 700 to 1400 years. And we know how the script is. The avatar comes every 700 to 1400 years because there's a virus or the operating system needs to be tweaked. And he comes in the form of Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, whatever. It's like the director who also comes and acts. It's like Woody Allen, you know. Sometimes he acts in his movie, sometimes he doesn't act, he just directs. It's like a script. The second thing is that after the avatar comes, the avatar descends because of the five perfect masters, and there is already a pre planned script before the descent of the avatar, what is going to happen. And he comes veiled, then he gets unveiled by the five perfect masters, and then he starts doing his work. And the interesting thing is that we know state 2C, which is basically the abode of the perfect masters and the avatar when they are in human form, right? Which is called the Vijnan Bhumi, whatever that is. Now, the
Bhumika.
sorry,
Yeah.
Vignan Bhumika, sorry, that is the that is the formless aspect. Now, state 2C is when they are in human form and they are doing their work, okay, which is the Saguna Sarkar. So the Saguna Sarkar form keeps changing depending on which time period are coming, because the human form keeps changing. But once they finish the work and they go off into the formless, which is the Nirguna Nirakar, which is technically the eternal avataric infinite consciousness, and they maintain their individuality, right? So, as everybody rightly said, the eternal avataric infinite consciousness is always working, it's always there monitoring the whole situation, right? The only thing that is happening is that the avatar comes down and keeps tweaking the operating system so that humanity focuses on the only goal of life, which is liberation, basically, mukti. And we know different forms of mukti, right?
Yeah,
Moksha, nirvana, nirvikalpa samadhi, and sahaja samadhi, which is also predestined. So I think that the whole point is that the infinite formless, the saguna, nirguna nirakar, eternal avataric infinite consciousness is always acting. So there is no doubt about it. And as we all know, the whole gross universe that we are dealing with, most of the people in the world, is fine tuned from the last 13.8 billion years, except for one thing, the human mind in the waking state. And this is all happening in the divine dream of God. So the only thing we have to do is to how to play this ball game better and better with sportsman spirit, or be a good actor, and play our role to the best of our effort. Jai Baba.
Jay Baba, mathematically speaking, one more thing comes out, that this infinite consciousness is in two forms. I mean, this is for people who are reading this for the first time. So, infinite consciousness in personal form, and there's also an uh, mention about the impersonal infinite consciousness. So, the infinite consciousness is having two sets: personal form and the impersonal infinite consciousness. If you put it
yeah.
into a
Correct.
So,
The
if you
Saguna
go to
Sarkar
the,
and the
if you
Nirguna
go,
Nirakar. Yes, Saguna Sarkar and Nirguna Nirakar. And we know from the supplement to God Speaks on the state one of God and state two of God, it's clearly mentioned that apart from the God is state, everything else, the whim, the infinite consciousness, infinite unconsciousness, all these things are part of the latent real nothing, basically. Jai Baba.
absolutely. So again, I don't know whether, as Kama was talking, I was actually showing all the things that he's trying to explain, right? So this is the Saguna Sakar form of God. Then he gets to the to be, which is attributeless. Now, I also made an annotation which I'll draw attention of everybody. So the impersonal infinite consciousness. Again, let's remember this is Bhau's words. Okay? So this is the usage that he's using in this chapter. The impersonal infinite consciousness is nothing but the eternal avataric infinite consciousness. And where did we first encounter that EAIC? We encountered that with uh, beings, right? Which is so again, words are nothing. All of the states and all of the planes. Actually, I wanted to call you yesterday, Ashish, but answer your question and spend more time. We will do it sometime next few days. But all see, we have to understand that the all of what Kama said is is absolutely covered in detail. The questions and doubts that we have, we will keep having and we will keep clarifying. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. So, in other words, gross consciousness needs the very physical presence of God on earth for its further progress. I repeat, in other words, gross consciousness needs the very physical presence of God on earth for its further progress, since the work of furthering gross consciousness requires physical exertion. Therefore, God, the formless, has to descend age after age into a human physical form. However, during the avatar's lifetime on earth, the universal work completed by him before dropping his body starts to manifest its results. But for the work to manifest completely requires time. Humanity will witness the full result of his universal work at the time of his total manifestation after 100 years. This is why, after the avatar drops his body, ever increasing numbers of people come to know of him. Eventually, the whole world comes to know of him because the avatar has worked for each individual in the whole world, and his work goes on manifesting after he drops his body.
Jay Baba,
So,
if I may just add, so this fine tuning which beautifully Kama mentioned is again being said in this paragraph. You know, there's this requires the first line, since the work
yeah,
of furthering gross consciousness requires physical exertion. So it's basically that this nirguna nirakar roop of the form of uh, God comes, and he fine tunes it according to the requirement of that time. Is
so
in
it's
that
basically he's distilling it down to Newtonian physics, right? So if you're trying to do something in this state in Earth in physical form, you need to do something in that form to change your state, to change to get that push. And when that becomes so compelling and so uh, um, uh, necessary, avatar actually comes down and does it at a physical level, right? And it physically pushes all the gross consciousness or those enjoying gross consciousness towards higher and higher levels of consciousness, right? But I think the second part of the chapter, the para, is more important, where he says that the work unravels over a period of time. And that period of time is 100 years. And what he did will will unfold and unravel with impact to almost everybody. Everybody will know about Baba, and his work will. I mean, that's all that's being said. So let's continue.
Karthik, can I
In
request
Wahab,
you
So,
to underline
Jay Baba,
humanity?
one
Sorry. Can you underline humanity will witness the full result of his universal work at the
yeah, sure.
time of his total manifestation after 100 years? So that means this total manifestation is this is, I think, very important. We know about that. His Baba has said that I will be there. In a more forceful form for 100 years after I drop my body. But it's again reiterated here. And so, at the time of his total manifestation, what does this mean? The full result of his universal work at the time of his total manifestation. So it's going on. I mean, as we speak.
no, Jay Baba, I think the manifestation. I think some of the mandali has talked about. See, Avatar either comes 700 or max 1400 years. Let's say. So if he's coming, the next period is 700 years. Probably the manifestation can happen within 100 years, or his formless nirguna nirakar aspect of will be full blown 100% like he was in human form, as we know, when he was in body for 100 years, if the next avataric cycle is in 700 years. If it is goes up to 1400, they say the energy will be there for about 200 years, and then the entropy happens. As we know, every orderly system tends towards disorder. But another point that I wanted to make was to supplement what you guys said. Remember that consciousness needs the body, the material body, gross body, subtle body, mental body, to liberate itself from sanskaras, which is through evolution. And the body can't live without consciousness, because what comes first is consciousness. Because as we know from the most original whim, who am I created the first sanskaric impression, and to experience that most original whim of God, who am I, it needed to take a form or body. I always ask to ask this question, why do you need to have a body? Like, but that is how the script is. So the interesting thing is that we have to keep coming back to the basics, that consciousness is, as we know from the first stage of real fana, but God is not. Now, again, that is another aspect of this whole, different stages of God, right? Then it says that in the second stage of real fana, the divine absolute vacuum state gets filled up with the real ego. Then you attain nirvikalpa samadhi. So the I think in God Speaks it says the only two states is the most original state of God, which is state one of God, and the second stage, which is basically where he finally finds himself, you know, as both Saguna Sarkar and Nirguna Nirakar, that he is, that he is God in human, Anal Haq. So all these things is just a play or a game. It's like doing a Netflix video, or like a Netflix part 5 series or part 10 series. Or even I think the analogy would be the baby in the womb. All of us have gone through this so called reincarnation, let's say as a man or as a woman, but we all started with a one egg, one sperm thing, and then consciousness came in, right? And then we went through the whole birth, school, work, death situation. So, in a way, this whole uh, earth is like a school, which is where we are basically able to play and find our real purpose in life. Actually, there is no purpose. The only thing is we are shedding our ego to find our true self. Jai Baba.
Yeah, lot of stuff covered there. I just have, I don't want to spend too much time, but I have one thought exercise that I'll just start now, and you can continue to do, continue think about it more and more. On this chart, where is everybody? On this call, for the people here, where are you on this chart, right? And where
And
is God,
dreams.
right? Where is God and where are you? Now, if you actually think about it, you are God, and your consciousness is not ready to accept that because of sanskaras. But at the same time, you and God are in the same place. You have to understand that. And if you think more and more and correlate that with all the things Thomas said and all the things that you've read till now, the summary is it's just a process of discovery, but it's a personal process of discovery and progress, which will run at your own pace, which also is, like Kama said, scripted. Right? So you go through the motions, but you're already there. Okay, there's nothing new that's going to happen or change or so on and so forth. Anyway, with that, let's go back and see the
Karthik,
exciting news about manifesting. Yeah.
can I just take 15 seconds? So it's like, you are there. It's like you're like a mirror, but covered with dust of sanskaras. So once the dust
Who's the
goes,
you? Even the you is God. So
sorry,
even the you that is seeing yourself in the mirror with the dust is God. So even that is God,
correct,
right?
correct.
So what does God speaks? God speaks is your story and mine. God speaks is biography of the soul. Which soul? You and me
Correct,
and
correct.
Baba at the same time, right? So
Right, right.
it's
And the analogy which Kama has always mentioned is that it's like a white movie screen. So that white movie screen is also us or the soul or God.
correct.
The
Okay.
analogy, Jay Baba, the analogy that I want to give, what Karthik just said is, suppose, Karthik, suppose you're a Nobel Prize winner, right? Like you've gone through the shakes. Let's say Sadhguru state, Nobel Prize winner, right? Everybody gets a PhD, but let's say all Nobel Prize winners have PhDs. But so if the Nobel Prize winner, let's say he has a child, a boy or a girl, who also has the potential to be the Nobel Prize winner, but still it isn't. That child is, let's say, the first stage, first to 12 years, 1 to 12 years old. So your analogy is correct. Basically, all of us are in the image of God, except our consciousness is corrupted with sanskaras, which has come through evolution, which is not our fault. So the only thing we are trying to do is to dissolve these sanskaras and discover that we are all one self. Jai Baba. The lover and the beloved, the most beautiful essay,
It's
my
the
most
same.
favorite essay.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
One point I would like to introduce here is that God, he is consciousness is divided into unconsciousness and consciousness. The conscious God is within you. That is your real you. Your mind and your I consciousness is unconsciousness part of the God. And that unconscious part of the God is started out from total ignorance. And it's building up the consciousness and body. And the sanskaras are coming in the way. As it is, unconsciousness also pure. It's not modified. Consciousness is consciousness, but it is right now, as long as the sanskaras are there, it is focused on the sanskaras. Once they are removed, then the unconsciousness becomes united with the consciousness.
And you missed the last two chapters. What you just said now is also logically handled. So, how we need unconsciousness and this journey through unconsciousness to discover consciousness. What is light? Light is the absence of darkness.
Right.
You try hard and hard and hard and hard and try to negotiate, define light, you will struggle. But the only way to explain light is to experience darkness. When you
Darkness.
experience darkness, you understand light, and that's exact. That's such a beautiful analogy that we have to remember to answer the question: why unconsciousness and that split happened, and after that split, why are we making this journey? The answer to that is
To,
right there.
to add to what Ravi said, basically, state 2A after the whim, infinite unconsciousness, goes through evolution of consciousness, which becomes full and complete in the human form, which means we have full and complete consciousness in the human form, except it is now covered by a layer of sanskaras, which needs to be dissolved. Which is like the saying, all human beings are rough diamonds polishing themselves. So all the 8 billion people have the potential for self discovery. So the question now is how many of those people are aware of this, and
Yes.
like even in the Baba community, 80-20 rule, the real Baba club and the blah blah club, is how many people are really earnest, which is again probably is directly related to one's own sanskaras, how it dominates you, what kind of choice you make on your day-to-day life. So that is the beauty about this whole thing, is that we are all one self because we're human beings who have one self. We are we are aware of this knowledge now because of science, but how many people really get inspired to perspire? Hey, Baba.
It's
I think
about the
the
personal.
answer to that, Kama, is the time will come. When the time
Yes.
comes, you get all the knowledge. Actually, what we are reading is nothing. Baba said he himself acts like a catalyst. The knowledge is already there within everyone. When the time comes, Baba acts like a catalyst. He removes the veil. When the veil is removed, you get all the knowledge. Jeba.
But
Jai
we
Baba.
have to make the effort. We have to make the right effort. Baba has given us the right knowledge, and
Yeah.
we have to perspire, make the right effort, the right action of thoughts, words, and deeds in our daily life. Practice, practice, practice. And when we are ready, he knows, just like Baba knew when to make us become Baba lovers, because it was his
Right.
choice to make us his, his lover, right? He's the divine beloved. So
Yeah.
similarly, we have to make that effort as much as possible, as he said, intense longing, intense effort, infinite patience.
And
Everybody,
patience.
yeah. So the idea is that it is going to happen. We know that by 84 lakh human lives, everybody is going to get moksha, bliss, infinite bliss. So the only thing we have to do is to play the ball game or be the perfect actor, Hey, Bob.
I think when I have to go to pee, I run and go pee, right? The time has to come for that. But how we play game, the chess game within ourselves. Each one has got their own way of playing the game, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Jai Baba, I put it very simply. There is a saying that we all are one, and there is also a beautiful song done by the Sufis that all are one. I would request everybody to listen to it. I mean, it's a very simple uh,
Lyric. Yeah.
summary of all that we said till now. Jai Baba.
Vasudeva Kutumbam, huh? Vasudeva.
Sorry.
So,
We're all one.
Kutumbakam.
Yes, that is
Mm.
my tagline on my uh, WhatsApp uh, profile also.
Jai
Jai Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Can I?
Sorry.
Yes, Sunilji.
Okay. I will have a long discussion. So as sorry, I've not been very active on, especially on the Sunday calls. My apologies. Not that I don't want to, but somehow uh, I was thinking what I'll just share what's going on in my mind. Apologies if it's not appropriate or you can't accept it, but I was contrasting. Yes, we decided Saturday will be a day of heart and Sunday will be day of mind, right? We're the same bunch of people. How much we speak on Sunday, it's and how easily the Saturday content goes in. It's I was trying to compare the two.
So I think
Actually, we don't need Sunday. Saturday is enough because that is one helps us
actually,
to bring our love for Baba. We
Yeah,
don't need knowledge.
I will not
It
say
comes.
anymore. Jai Baba.
Share Baba.
That's correct.
Q
Actually,
E D.
beyond reading together whatever books we do, which is obviously very very helpful. Actually, we have to find solitude and do our own reading ourselves.
Yes.
No, which
Yes.
at least I don't get time to do. I try to do, but other beyond few pages, and it is not consistent or target driven. It's just whatever books you pick up, you just read. But
But
the
actually, this
analytical part
discussion,
and deep understanding part is missing.
mm,
Discussion is good, but that is good only once we have done some of our own reading. I'm just saying it
yeah,
for
yeah.
myself.
No.
Actually,
That's a good formula, right?
Yeah,
Chintan and Manan.
yeah.
So
Chintan
there is
Manan,
no
field
use.
discussion. Field discussion.
Ah, yes. Otherwise, it's a nice way to spend 1.5 hour on Sunday. That's it. But if you're able to add Manan to it
True.
and then internalize and then follow up during the course of the week, read more, then it makes it you basically get get
Yes,
it,
yes.
right?
So
Yeah.
what? Yeah, we should be careful of not becoming another what Kama says, Baba,
Blah blah
Baba,
blah.
Kama,
Exactly,
blah blah.
exactly. Because it's easy to
Uh,
get there.
Jai Baba, just to add to what Sunil and Nigam said, is that, in the meditation chapter, fourth part in discourses, Baba talks of three types of meditation, not three types. The sequence of meditation, how it happens, is first you're reading constantly and you're contemplating simultaneously. Number one. The next stage is you don't have to read because all that information is right there, impressed. But you're contemplating on it. And of course, the third stage is the most final stage where you become that. So I think all of us are in the first stage and second stage. That is to answer Nigam's question. And for Sunil, when he talks about heart and mind, this is my understanding. As Baba said, men excel in the qualities of mind and will, and women excel in the qualities of the heart. But mind and heart have to balance each other. Whereas heart always precedes the mind. Like this Armenian guy who came with a bunch of Baba lovers, remember 10, 15 years ago, he told me a very interesting thing. 80% the heart should always precede the mind or the head, uh, and 20% heart and head, heart and mind should walk together, but never allow the mind or head to precede the heart. So I think the whole challenge of life is how to do this balancing act, because we need the head for the material life, including the heart. So the whole challenge is not only heart or mind. We need both. Jai Baba.
I agree. I agree, Kama, completely. And in fact, that was kind of my question. Do we have the right balance between Saturday and Sunday and the way we should execute ourselves, our thoughts, our discussions? So I'll leave it at that. I may be wrong. I may be wrong.
Every day is your birthday. I celebrate my birthday every day, and everybody else celebrates it on my official day. How about that?
I-
Every day is a Sunday, sunny day. Sun is always shining.
That is always shining. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
it's food for thought. It's our
Just want to quote a
individual.
couple of lines from. Yeah, sorry. You
Go ahead.
complete, Sunil, first.
No, I said it's all our individual journeys.
Just wanted to
Not
quote a
Exactly.
couple of lines. Yeah, from Madhusudan's song, which is very popular. कोई न सच को जाने मेहर सभी जाने. It has two lines which says हंसना गाना ध्यान लगाना प्रेम से अपनी धुनी रमाना. Right? Then the second line goes सुनकर पढ़कर सत्य परखना राज यही दीवाने. So is the first line is for the heart and the second one goes for the mind. You have to read and understand uh, and analyze the truth. Satya Parakhna. Jai Baba.
Superb. Superb cross reference there. Just quick comments to Srenji. I think, as you said it in the end summary, it's all left to individuals. And we have to remind ourselves constantly that the heart should dominate, right? So the heart should prevail. But unfortunately, not all of us are designed in a way
Lead.
where we thought should
Mm.
lead. Yes, yeah. No, heart should dominate. It's okay to use even the strong word dominate. Okay.
Mm.
But not everybody is consigned or resigned to that the moment we encounter it. We are not there. And I think that's those that get up at 7:30 in the morning and get on the call are in that set. And if you're not getting up, Sunilji, and you're not being so often on the Sunday calls and being more often on the Saturday calls, you're already there. You're you're getting to where you should be. So be very happy.
No, no, I was the reason I also there were multiple things going on in my mind, and one reason
Okay.
I asked this question is balance, which Kama asked, right? So, and Baba has also asked for balance. Okay, we can say heart precedes mind, blah blah, but no mind is also probably not the best thing. I'm not sure, but I would like to follow whatever best methodology Baba has prescribed. Of course, he says as many paths as trees in the forest. So that's also okay. But if he prescribed something, recommended something, we should do that. Another thought that crossed my mind, I'm sorry, this might not sound uh, most appropriate, but do we develop spiritual ego when we think too much from the mind? Something we should think about. Uh, why I
Absolutely.
said why I said this is on Sunday call. I see everybody trying to express a bit more
Mm.
than what the previous person said, a bit extra. So,
Very good
You
point.
know, I got a
right?
thought on that. Unless we use that ego, we cannot grasp all these. Let's say God speaks, okay? If I want to
Yes.
grasp God speaks, I have to use the ego.
Yeah.
And once I
Okay.
grasp it, it should not cross the limit of that ego, balance the ego. But it does
Hmm.
cross. The problem
It
is
does,
how to
perhaps. Yeah.
control that.
How to
Is the
control.
challenge for us.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
Raviji.
right,
Is
Ravi. It
always
should
the
not lead
challenge.
us to well that I have got to know.
Yeah.
Because this is
Yeah.
only a theoretical knowledge, and Baba has said, unless you realize that and experience that, that only is the real thing. The reading and knowing and explaining to others is just the initial part. Yeah, Baba.
Yeah. I mean, it helps us to learn more better, but this has only certain, it will take us only to certain extent. That's it. Love is the only one that takes us all the way. Knowledge, we have to drop off everything at one point of time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
very, very
Yes.
profound and thoughts worthy of meditating more. What is the balance? Is even participation or more active participation in the in understanding and use of the mind a display of spiritual ego? If not a display of spiritual ego, is it feeding of the spiritual ego? Is it? These are thoughts that each one of us has to dwell deeper and make your personal uh, um, reconciliation with those, right? And again, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, right? And like Ravi ji said, unfortunately, the locus of the mind has to be there till you reach that point of full understanding and realization. It's impossible to do it any other way. You cannot do it without. Right? So anyway, very very interesting set of questions, Sunilji, as always. Thank you very much for that. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You, Jai
let's
Baba. Jai
Jay
Baba.
Baba,
join that.
I'll just put in one line if it's okay. Another 15 seconds. Is that what we are doing is like a case study, and there is no uh, absolute right or absolute wrong interpretation. It's to each his own. So, I mean,
Correct.
that's the way we can just summarize. I mean, you guys are all intellectuals in your own right, a lot of content and a lot of perspectives, but it's like a case study which we are doing here, and we can take the essence of what is applicable to each individual. Jai Baba.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Okay, let's get. I said absolutely, and I said let's get back to the reading. I continue. In Meher Baba's words, in quotations, my first work is for my mandali, then for my lovers, and then for the whole of the human level of consciousness, then for the whole of evolution. Therefore, each individual receives the benefit in accordance with the work done by the avatar. Right? So there is a sequence in which the avatar is working. It works for the Vandali first, then for the lovers, then for the whole of human level of consciousness, and then for the whole of the evolution, the rest of creation. Right?
Karthik, if I may say what is mentioned in this earlier, in this word, Baba's words, it is like a pyramid. First is for the mandali, then for my lovers, then for the whole human level of consciousness, and then for the whole of evolution. So the the work expands. I mean, first for a subset or a small set, then for a little bigger set, and then for the bigger set and a bigger set. So it brings me to the analogy of a pyramid.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it is
yeah, absolutely.
simultaneous. It is simultaneous also.
It's
This
simultaneous.
there is
No, I don't
yeah
think
there
it's simultaneous. I'd like to draw attention to the
is
word first. My
just
first.
I think it is. Iraj talks about it's like a procession, and there are people
Yes,
who are
yeah,
very
yeah.
close and can see the leader, but there are others who can
Who are in
sometimes see
the
the
end
leader,
of the line.
and
Mm.
there are people who know there is a leader and then they just keep following. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Jai Baba.
yeah, yeah, correct. Okay, continuing. During the physical lifetime of the avatar, he lays the cables from his powerhouse of effulgence, and through the cables, he connects each heart with the powerhouse. He completes all the preparation and also works for each individual to have bulb of a certain wattage. After he drops his body and when his works starts manifesting, each individual gradually prepares himself, the bulb, and when all the bulbs are prepared in all the individuals, the switch of the powerhouse will be automatically turned on, and each bulb will receive the light according to its capacity. This will be the total manifestation of Avatar Meher Baba and will be the time of his universal push experienced by everyone and everything, animate or inanimate. It will be the result of his universal work and it will be witnessed by the world. Avatar has completed his universal work. He has done work for all of us. I have witnessed that the avatar has suffered infinitely for us all to give us a push in our consciousness. I have seen that the avatar has given us love and mercy in spite of our indifference and ignorance. And he has accepted us in spite of our being unworthy. Therefore, let us realize this and let us be prepared. For he has told me, in quotes, the powerhouse will never fail, provided the wires take care of their connection with it. And there's a photograph of Baba, 1960s Maharaja. Okay. Just a quick um, throwback to what we read in the last paragraph. So there are cables, there are individual bulbs. During his physical presence, he has connected the cables to all the bulbs. And as far as the bulbs keep in touch with the powerhouse, it when the manifestation happens, everything will light up from the powerhouse. So keep your wires intact, hold on to the Brahman, right? Any thoughts before we go to the next chapter? Okay, let's go to love gives the knowledge of God. Fire is symbolic of love. Love is always compared with fire because the qualities of love and fire are the same. Fire burns anything good or bad, and fire is so useful that it is impossible to live without it. Since it is used for cooking and heating, love also burns any good and bad sanskaras, and life is not possible without love, whether it is earthly love or divine love. Love divine burns the self and gives the knowledge of biggest self. I repeat the last line. Love divine burns the self, smallest self, and gives the knowledge of biggest self, God. So on Saturday, if you get divine love, it will get you the knowledge of biggest self. Okay, just to take like to you. Continuing, fire is forever compared with love, and love is always like fire. When, when one is burned by fire, one feels pain and restlessness. Fire burns through and turns a thing into ash, and so also love burns the self through to the root of the samskaras and turns it into ash, so that the self can be realized. Fire is only symbolic, for it represents the qualities of love. In the simile of a heap of ash and a fire, heap of trash represents the pile of sanskaras, and the fire represents love. As one flame of fire is sufficient to burn gradually the whole heap, so one drop of love from the ocean of love is also sufficient to burn the heap of sanskaras. If any human being receives a drop of love from the ocean of love, his or her whole existence is changed, and he or she enters into the worlds of divine love. But these worlds of divine love, meaning the ocean of divine love, are very vast and infinite. Unless one is burned completely, that is, all the false self samskaras, one cannot experience and become this ocean of love. In order to understand the significance of love, fire is symbolically represented. And unless a fire, love, is lighted in one's heart, no progress on the path is possible. The simile of the heap of trash and the fire reveals an idea of the effect of the love of the avatar has bestowed upon the world. This simile also reveals how people will come in contact with the avatar. Those who are near the fire will come in his contact first. Then others will feel the warmth of the fire, and others will see sunlight. Fire in the path of spirituality is only love. The flames of inspiration and illumination are only mediums to light the real fire of love in the heart. And only this real fire can help anyone toward the goal. The fire that burns the trash of samskaras is the fire in the heart. It exists nowhere else. I repeat, the fire that burns the trash of sanskaras is the fire in the heart. It exists nowhere else. The huge heap of trash is not collected in any place, but it is collected at the point of infinity, which is everywhere. The avatar has given a flame of his love to each individual. Some have burned, some are still burning, and some have only begun. Nevertheless, each one has that love, and it is that love that is given to burn the heap of sanskaras that each one has. Okay, that is the end of the chapter. So all of it is about a simile. The simile is a heap of sanskaras, and love being the spark of fire that burns it. The simile is further expanded to say some burn the heap slowly, some burn the heap rapidly, and then it goes to ashes. The other extension of the analogy is you can see the fire directly if you're close to the heat, or can see the light. Some cannot see the light but feel the warmth, and just a few others will just see the light from very far. Right. So it's just an analogy, but the core of the matter is how love is the only way um, to get towards realization, and that love is planted in each one of us, and it just needs to be uncovered.
So when he
Anything
says,
before we go to the next one? Yeah, yeah,
Jai
sure.
Baba, can I?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please, please.
So, so when he says that you have to burn the heap of the sanskaras, does it relate or correlate to manonash? Means you have to be total annihilation of the mind and sanskaras.
Yeah, that's the last point. संस्कारा से शुरू होके मनोनाश में पहुंचेगा. When you
Correct.
start with all the sanskaras, maybe right at the bottom of the heap there is the mind sitting in the heap of trash, and उसको भी जला दो बस.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, what it means, what Ashokji wanted to say, this thing is that the real love will do that. The Manonash will come out of real love.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the stage you will reach when the love that Baba is talking of is there. Yeah. Jai Baba.
So next chapter. Yeah,
It's
you had
like
something to say. Yeah.
when you want to just be united with God and nothing else. It's like the analogy of the person who is thirsty and gets water in a desert, and that water or is the insight that you have to just be one with God. I think it's a very intense longing.
Correct.
Jai Baba, sorry if I've
Jai Baba. Sure, sure. No, no,
if
no.
I've
Correct.
if I've deviated, I'm my apologies.
No, 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 no. Correct. The work of the avatar. The universal work of the avatar has several levels of priority. Number one is to prepare his circle of 122 people for realization, and then to give the realization of God to these 122 people, and also to his very closest lovers. Number two is to give liberation, mukti, to many people and free them forever from the rounds of births and deaths. Number three is to give a push to those in the inner subtle and mental planes, and they are of a fixed number. Number four is to take many people to the path of truth, who thereby enter the planes. Number five is to awaken the whole of humanity toward the truth of God's existence. Number six is to give a universal push to all states of evolution in their progress toward higher evolutionary consciousness. Number seven is to allow new souls to enter the creation. So it's another prison, 122 on the top, and at the bottom, all the souls that are not even in creation. That's the whole canvas. The, the newer souls that are not yet joined even as a stone form or pre-stone form, that's at the bottom of the prison or the pyramid, sorry. And right on the top, you have the 122. And along the way, number two is to just mukti to many people who are ready. Number three is people in the involution place. Number four is push everybody to get to the planes. Number five is people who are just in material world, wake them up to spirituality. And number six is everybody in non-human state as well, all of creation, to get a push. So very, very interesting set of things that the avatar is doing.
What is the difference between number one and two? 120 realization and mukti. Is it not the same one actually?
No, no. So
Because
it's different people, right? So 122 is Baba's circles, and mukti is to others. So number two is to give liberation to many people and free them forever from the rounds of births and deaths. So in his manifestation, in his avataric advent, he will pick a few souls that get mukti, which means they never have to come back. This is outside of 122. 122 is named. They will get realization. And he will prepare them and he will guarantee realization to them. Not mukti, realization.
so
Mukti
mukti is not
is,
realization. Mukti is different.
mukti is basic,
Mukti is different.
only experience of bliss.
No, Jai Baba,
Realization
just
is,
let
yeah,
Jai
yeah,
Baba,
go ahead, Kama. Yeah.
terminology again, ambiguity of the English language. Just like the word love, which is applicable to different kingdoms, right? Mineral love, plant love, animal love, human love, para bhakti, that is pure love, divine love. Similarly, the word liberation, mukti, is a generic, is there are different types of liberation. Again, explained beautifully in God Speak supplement. So every soul consciousness, drop soul consciousness in human form, will get what do you call moksha. Okay,
Union.
moksha is one
Union.
form of liberation, mukti. Okay,
Mm.
so moksha is one form of liberation, mukti. Then higher is nirvana, or what we call manonash, annihilation of the mind of a higher degree, which is another form of mukti. Then nirvikalpa samadhi is self-realization or God realization, which is the third higher form of mukti or liberation. And the highest is, of course, sahaja samadhi, which is the Jivan Muktas and the Sadguru's experience. So there are only five perfect masters, as we know. So that is the highest. Of course, the highest of the high is the avatar. So we are not going to get into that. So I think we want to be very clear that mukti liberation means, which is what Buddha talked about, getting off the wheel of samsara, which is the wheel of birth and death. That is the only, if you call there is a purpose in life, that is the only purpose of taking the human form is to get mukti or liberation, which is from samsara. So moksha is applicable to all drop souls and by 84 lakh human life cycles. That time period is also given, just like the physical constants in quantum physics and classical mechanics. We have the so-called spiritual constants, 84 lakh human lives, 5 Sadgurus, 7,000 the spiritual hierarchy, 56 God-realized souls, then 122 in the circle of the avatar, and 12 plus 2, 14 in the circle of the Sadgurus, and so on and so forth. So I think this point has to be very clear that not to confuse mukti with God realization. God realization, nirvikalpa samadhi, is one form of mukti or liberation. Jai Baba.
I just want to
Yeah.
add what Tama said is the question of whether we have a physical body after getting God realization or no physical body. If somebody dies and then after 3 days, 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours, then they get all these things happening. Clearing of the sanskaras and the realization happens. Then, because there is no body in this world, it gets the union. I call it union. This is my understanding of God speaks and infinite intelligence. But the person
Jai
who
Baba.
has physical body, they get realization with their mind. Their mind is nothing but unconscious part of the God. Mind is nothing but a receptacle of sanskaras. So when the mind is gone, I consciousness experiences I am God states. And the body left, then they get the union. So moksha and realization are similar, but there is a process for realization. For you, for the moksha, a shortcut version, but gets the union without a body. Jeba.
So, Jay
Jai
Baba,
Baba. Ravi, slight correction the way I understand. Let's not mix moksha. Moksha is one form of mukti. A moksha or ordinary mukti, MOM, is after the death of the ordinary human
Physical
being
body.
who still has sanskaras, but by the grace of his guru or the avatar is able to get moksha, ordinary mukti, which is only experiencing bliss state. When we say the word realization, it is not nirvana, it is nirvikalpa samadhi or sahaja samadhi, right? Infinite power, infinite knowledge, infinite bliss. So we want to be very careful about the way we use the words realization and moksha and mukti. So the clear, demarcation is like, as far as I understand, because it's clearly said that in the supplement, that moksha is available to everybody. This is in all of our Eastern literature that every soul will get liberation. But what form of liberation is predestined? And one form of liberation or mukti is God realization or self realization, which happens to the 56 God realized souls. And even those who, after getting nirvana, some of them get God realization when they are in the body form, and after a few days, they also depart to the Nirguna Nirakara aspect. But a few who have got Nirvikalpa Samadhi, who are predestined to be part of the 56 God realized souls and distributed between being a Madhu, Paramahamsa, Jivan Mukta, or Sadguru. That's my understanding. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
What is the correction? What is the correction you made? I don't understand. I think what I said and you said
You
are
are
same.
talking about moksha and God realization as the same.
Mukti and God realization are same. The end point is same. See, whatever the
No, no,
process,
no, no,
what
no,
you
no, no.
said
There
in
is
the
only bliss.
realization,
Everybody gets bliss, but everybody doesn't get God realization.
I
Yes.
understand that. There are only 56 God realized people. There are selected people. They get God realization. God realization means they are in the physical body. But many more get Videha Mukti. That is, after dropping the body, they get the union. Once they get union, they experience the bliss. There's no
The
question of power and knowledge. That comes only in this creation
sorry,
world. That is
the
only when you have a body. Once you don't have a
terminology of
body, you once
the
let me
terminology
finish.
of Videha Mukti
Let me
is
finish. Let me
okay.
finish, comma. If you don't have a body in this creation world, the infinite knowledge and infinite power doesn't make any sense. Because only with the physical body, people who don't have physical body, they get the ordinary mukti and they get the union. Both of them get the union ultimately after their Paramahamsa state or Jivan Mukta state, perfect master state. They all get union. They become one with the God. Java.
My question to you is: does everybody who gets nirvana gets nirvikalpa samadhi?
Yes,
No, no.
Okay.
everybody, it's in the seventh plane. Nirvana happens in the seventh plane. It's only a matter of a couple days of our time. There's no time in the seventh plane. How it happens, it's all unknown to us. Only when you experience in the seventh plane, nirvana is happening only after crossing the sixth plane, the
No, no.
creation world.
My question to you was: does everybody who gets nirvana also get nirvikalpa samadhi?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everybody
I
who
think
gets
we have
nirvana
discussed this.
automatically gets nirvikalpa
I
samadhi.
will show it
That's
to
what my
you.
understand.
Okay, we had discussed this. We had personally. I had sent you a personal WhatsApp message, and I will resend it to the group. And I've taken different pages from God Speaks, and we have discussed this. So I don't want to have an unnecessary altercation here. But again, mukti is liberation, just like love. And there are different types of mukti. Let's not confuse mukti with nirvikalpa. Nirvikalpa samadhi is a type or form of
I don't think
mukti.
anybody is getting confused, Kama. I
You
don't
are
think anybody's
confusing us. At
confused.
least you are confusing me.
No, no. I think
We're talking
let's
about the
take
same thing.
this. Let's take this discussion offline. You can continue on your personal WhatsApps to get to the clarity. Again, here, let's see what we are trying to understand. We are trying to understand the work of the avatar and the sequence, not even sequence, the scope. The scope is this pyramid where we start from his circle right to ending up with the largest canvas of not just the whole of creation, but those souls that are yet to come into creation and who are going to come to seek realization. Right? Let's continue.
So Jai Baba, Karthik, the number two
Yeah.
is what you normally, usually you profess that MOM or minimum
Yes.
ordinary mukti,
Yes.
and let's be happy with
Yes.
that. If we even if reach that stage, I think we should be all be happy. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba. Thank you for reminding. Yes, indeed. Yeah, let's continue. In order to achieve all of this work, the avatar has to remove binding impressions, sanskaras, from each individual, and therefore he takes upon himself those divine free impressions, yoga yoga sanskaras, which remove the bindings from others. I repeat. In order to achieve all of this work, the avatar has to remove binding impressions, sanskaras, from each individual. you and me. And therefore, he takes upon himself those divine free impressions, yoga sanskaras, which remove the bindings from others. So, what does the avatar operate on? He operates using yoga sanskaras, which he uses a phrase, Bhauji uses a phrase, divine free impressions. Suppose a man has sanskaras of serving the poor and outcast. Therefore, he serves these people. This man's work of serving the destitute is motivated by the sanskaras he has, and so serving the poor must become his work. No doubt it is a good work, and while serving these unfortunates, he collects good sanskaras. Yet, sanskaras, whether good or bad, are binding, and because of his bindings, this good man does not realize God. Good sanskaras are like jewels, and bad sanskaras are like iron chains, but both are still burdens around one's neck. If another man has the sanskaras of drinking liquor and gambling, he has to drink liquor and gamble. His acts of drinking liquor and gambling are motivated by the sanskaras he has, and whereas the other man is collecting good sanskaras, this man is collecting bad ones. So the analogy, just to point out, instead of jewels, just imagine golden chains, which is what we encountered in discourses. Golden chains versus iron chains. There's a qualitative difference in how it looks, but the function is the same. It's binding you. It's keeping you away from making progress.
So mathematically speaking, just to remind everyone that sanskaras have to become zero. The golden chains and the iron chains, it has to be both in number and quality. That's a very difficult thing to do because how to equate all the good and bad sanskaras. Che Baba.
So you missed one opportunity in the last 700 years. I mean, in the last 100 years, to get to be in category two. Now let's wait in this next 700 years to fall in one of those categories and make progress and get to MON. So if you were in the last 100 years and you were lucky, you would have got mukti. You would have been in category two. I mean, on a lighter note,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not pointing out to you
On
specifically, Ashok.
on a absolute lighter note, we all have to do the journey. Jay Baba.
Yes, yes,
See, we
absolutely.
can see we can never clear all our sanskaras. Only perfect master can do that. That is why we love Baba, so
Correct.
that we only can do only to certain extent. But Baba wants us to try to clear to some extent. Then he helps us to clear all the background, all the baggages we have been carrying for ages.
Absolutely. Okay, let's continue. Now, the avatar wishes to free both types of men from the bindings of good and bad, respectively. And therefore, he uses his divine free impressions or yoga sanskaras to nullify the binding sanskaric results in each man. This releasing of the samsaric grip is motivated out of the avatar's mercy, kindness, and love. When he uses his yoga sanskaras to remove those binding sanskaras, he has to exert himself and make an effort to help by using his divine free impressions, yoga sanskaras. When he makes this effort, it is for his beautiful. So what is Baba's work? What is universal work? At one level or the other, he is basically pushing to help undo, nullify the binding sanskaric results in each man. And that work is his universal work. He does it using divine free impressions. Divine free impressions are yoga sanskaras. For this purpose, the avatar takes upon himself the sanskaras of his universal work And these yoga sanskaras are pure and free divine impressions that annihilate the binding sanskaric impressions in the universe. The yoga sanskaras are of truth, knowledge, mercy, and love, and they remove the binding forces of falsehood, illusions, cruelty, and hatred. In short, all the bindings of good and bad impressions. So this is what a yoga sanskara does. What is it? I think let's try to finish this chapter. We have a page and a little. Generally, according to the law of karma, the binding of bad karma is nullified by the binding forces of good karma and vice versa. However, the avatar's yoga sanskaras are such that they completely wipe out the bindings of both good and bad sanskaras. This act of wiping out both the good and the bad in the individual by the avatar is called his grace. Right? When the avatar assumes his duty, he takes upon himself that amount of yoga sanskaras needed during his advent for his work to purify and awaken the world to advance consciousness and to give God realization to those who are destined for it. When we love the avatar, we automatically absorb the yoga sanskaras that he gives in return. And thereby, the binding of our sanskaras continues to weaken and weaken, and his love continues becoming stronger and stronger. The divine duty of the avatar toward the creation gives him the yoga sanskaras, and when he performs that duty towards the universe, he has to work to use those divine free impressions. I repeat, the divine duty of the avatar towards the creation gives him the yoga sanskaras. And when he performs that duty towards the universe, he has to work to use those divine free impressions. When we are working, we work because our binding sanskaras force us to work. And because we are forced to work by the motivation of our bindings, we create more binding, and so we are never free. Avatar's duty is to make others free from their bindings, and therefore, when he works, he uses his yoga sanskaras to make others free from bindings and to make provisions for each of them to be forever free. These yoga sanskaras, which are divine and free impressions from infinite consciousness, are nothing but the rays of the sun of his divine love. Yoga sanskaras of the work of the avatar exist to create love in the universe, to awaken humanity, to give a push in consciousness to everything, to give advanced consciousness of the planes, and to bestow God realization. This is achieved, however, only after he has wiped out the binding sanskaras in each of us. When we love the avatar, we receive those yoga sanskaras as his prasad. Each individual has a limited mind and a universal mind. But one is not conscious of the universal mind as long as the limited mind functions. In the universal mind of the avatar, the yoga sanskaras of his work are functioning, and the share for each one is well defined. Suppose a man has in his share 5 million yoga sanskaras in the universal mind of the avatar. And since the universal mind is indivisible, infinite, eternal, and everywhere, the man has his share with him in his own universal mind. However, the man is not conscious of it because of his own limited mind. It is the releasing of the yoga sanskaras by the avatar that makes it possible for each one of us to take our share gradually. Each one is infinite, and therefore the whole atmosphere, all the universes, the subtle and the mental planes are within each of us. But because of the limited mind, few of us are conscious of this fact. To absorb his yoga sanskaras means first to receive them, but from where are we to receive them? From the universal mind, which is infinite, indivisible, and eternal. It is within each of us. The places sanctified by the physical presence of the avatar and his work have a special importance. There is Mehrabad of his Samadhi, there is Meherazad, there is Meher Center, there is Avatar Abode, and there are other places of his work on earth. These places are special because when one goes to them, one is inspired by love and thoughts of Avatar. One's whole concentration is on him because one goes there only for him. Therefore, one's capacity to receive divine free impressions of his love is increased, and one receives at any one point part or the whole of his avatar share. To receive the whole share of his work takes time. However, if one has that capacity, one can receive the whole share at once. But in this, he loses his normal existence. Such a one does not need to visit places associated with the avatar, since he has the capacity to receive his share wherever he is. Each one has his share fixed within by the avatar, as everything is within. But to receive from the universal mind, the limited mind has to be activated, and this activation requires the capacity to absorb greatly, and therefore one's share is usually received bit by bit. With each bit of the avatar's being, the activation is intensified and the capacity increased. But afterward, action and reaction take place within. In simplest terms, the avatar, even though he is not in the body, gives a share of his love to each one, and each one gradually receives his or her share, which in turn burns up binding sanskaras. Thus, gradually, each one of us become somewhat more free and more pure.
So,
I
Jay
think
Baba,
the last para
yeah, yeah.
covers the. Yeah,
I was
go
also
ahead.
feeling the same what you're saying, that the last paragraph is a light at the end of the tunnel, that we all should feel optimistic that gradually each one of us becomes somewhat more free and more pure. Jay Baba.
This is very
Absolutely.
profound chapter.
Yeah,
You know,
so
I
it's
was
the mechanics of the working of yoga sanskaras, the mechanics of the working of the individual mind and the universal mind, and the let's say benefits of visiting prominent places where the avatar was there. I think those are the
yeah.
key takeaways from this chapter.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
I would like to add one point, Karthik, is recently I was reading The Infinite Intelligence. There is
Mhm.
one word Baba used. Uh, he called it Ullad Sanskaras. Ullad,
Ullat, ullat,
ULAD.
ullat sanskaras. Ullat.
Ullad Sanskaras, reverse
Yeah.
Sanskaras.
Yes, yes.
He gives those Ullad Sanskaras when we are carrying binding Sanskaras. And with this Ullad Sanskaras help us to clear those bindings.
Right.
That way we can be free and it gives us to a higher level of consciousness. We did not talk
Absolutely.
about this here.
Yeah,
Jai
yeah.
Baba.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Come please send us
So
that whatever you want to send us. I'm ready to, I'm open. Okay. I
he
don't mean
has
to
his
argue,
swords
but
drawn. Yeah, he has his swords drawn. Bring it on, Kama. Anyway, I'm joking. Okay.
otherwise I will
So
correct you, Kama.
absolutely.
Don't
So
worry, Ravi. Nothing personal. We are all in a movie, okay? So it's okay. Sometimes it's good to have a fight, because everybody is being diplomatic.
No,
Okay?
we don't
Okay.
fight, but I'm ready. I mean, I'm getting old, man. So
It's okay. Nothing. It's okay. We are just
I would like to
keeping.
correct understanding is important. What I think, it doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. I may
There's
be
nothing
wrong,
to.
you may be correct. I love your
So tell
correction
us,
anyway.
so tell us when you're done and tell us who's the Durandar, okay?
I love that. Rama is Durandar.
Okay. Yeah. All right. On that note, we had a great reading as always. Some very insightful thoughts from Sunil ji. Please think about those. Some great points of view that we learned from about manifestation of Avatar in the two chapters that we read. Look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well,
Okay. Jai Baba.
Kama,
Jai
I have a
Baba.
question for you. Okay, Bob.
Yeah.
Kama, are you
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. Tell me.
There's this hierarchy of 7,000 people. It's there in God Speaks. You know, there's some mention of 7,001, one being the avatar. Can you tell me the page of that God Speaks?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, Jai Baba.
See, Baba has a pink umbrella.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Nice. Is that actually a retractable umbrella?
I think so, or it's
Wow.
foldable.
It's beautiful. Oh, it's foldable. So that's what I meant. Yeah. Wonderful. Beautiful.
This is Namita's creation. Every day I see Baba in new dresses and new positions.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Okay, Jai Baba.
Thanks for
Jai Baba,
sharing.
everyone.
Jai Baba. Jai
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 Baba.
Baba. Jai Baba.